comedy club performance. Let's just say it was a rowdy one. Very. By the way, if any of the people from that show listen to, on the crowd from the crowd, listen to this podcast episode in like this week, um, I'm not gonna apologize for anything I say. I did have fun at the show. It was a great crowd. Well, I'll get into it, I suppose. Um, Hello, welcome back to Al Talks. This podcast I started 3 years ago to chronicle me starting stand up. This podcast is a weekly podcast. It comes out once a week, and this is just a small little introduction video into the podcast. So, down below in the description of each episode, you can go to my link tree and find links to everything connected to me. This podcast is available on YouTube, which you're watching it on right now, and also on Spotify. But yeah, that is just a small introduction into this podcast and everything that goes along with it. Hello, welcome back to L Talks. In this episode, if you'd seen the comedy vlog, you will. I know that this will be out like from when you see the comedy vlog, it'll be like 2 weeks away because I'd already scheduled another video for last week. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about my Columbia Comedy Club performance. Let's just say it was a rowdy one. Very. By the way, if any of the people from that show listen to, on the crowd from the crowd, listen to this podcast episode in like this week, um, I'm not going to apologize for anything I say. I did have fun at the show. It was a great crowd. Well, I'll get into it, I suppose. Um, what happened was there was a group of women out having fun on a Friday night, and a few of them decided they would give their input during the comedy show, which is never welcomed by comedians ever, I don't think. But they decided to do it anyway, so I had like in the comedy vlog I talk about I want to do new material. I was performing fourth. There was six comics that night, and then my friend Anthony was emceeing. So I was sixth to perform. No, I was fourth. So I had noticed, with the first three comedians, the women just kept talking, disrupting the show and whatnot. So I was like, I'll kind of test the water, see how they go, because they did want to do new material, but the fact that the crowd was rowdy, I was like, I'll do a bit of improv, do a bit of crowd work and whatnot. My computer wants more updates as usual, but anyway. So the show started off, rowdy. They were, like my friend Owen was performing, and one of the women said the punchline to one of his jokes, and he was like, "Hey, don't do that," So I get up and so I was kind of nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of uh, what would you say, pent up, kind of had a pretense on stage. So I go up and I go out with an opening bit, like an old one. Basically, when I started comedy, I used to use this opener a lot. So I used that and got a good response from the crowd. And then one of the women, who was one of them who kept disrupting the show, decided to start talking. So I told her off. Then she proceeded to keep talking. So I spoke to her in Irish. Now, like I said, I grew up here in Ireland. I went to school here, so I learned the Irish language. She did not expect that to come out of my mouth. She was quite shocked by this. I told her to be quiet in Irish, and I called her a good girl. So, but yeah, she did not like that. But she was also shocked that I knew any Irish. So that was a good heckle put down. So, and then beyond that, the show, I did do new material. I kind of snuck it in there once I kind of got the crowd on my side. Um, I tried out a joke that I had only ever. I'm not sure if I. No, I haven't. I've never actually done it. So it was the joke about that I wrote last year. from what I remember. And here making a mess. This is another comedy notebook which I'll be using some stage. Quite a lot of pages in it. It's interesting, but anyway. Um, what was I on about? Oh yeah, so we were once I had them on my sides, kind of went into my material. Spoke about some early starts in comedy as well, because I might have mentioned before, me and Anthony started comedy around the same time. We were both at the Battle of the Axe, the Halfpenny Bridge Inn, all those years ago. This summer will be like, that'll be 5 years ago at this stage. I'll now become a 5 year comic, which is interesting. But yeah, so just kind of going back to that, and the new bit that I did, I've noticed that when I rant, I've noticed when I rant, but no, when I rant on stage, it gets a certain response. Like it really, I don't know how to explain it. It just really kind of brings the people in. They're just very, very responsive to whatever material, and they always talk about finding your voice in comedy and whatnot. Maybe I don't want to be the ranty comic, but it seems that I might be becoming one because I get the most audience reaction out of that one. I did have a kind of a brain fart for a bit because they didn't respond well to one of my jokes that I wrote. It's like one of my favorite jokes I'd ever written, and I was just kind of, I don't know, it was kind of a brain fart. Then I started stalling, and some people in the audience were like, "Oh, just say something." Then I was like, and then at that stage, I had them. So I was like, I play a lot. I play, basically at that stage, it was like, I'm gonna have fun. And like, I always still talk about, you're supposed to have fun on stage and whatnot. Not sponsored, but hopefully one day. And, gotta hydrate because I'm losing my voice here. What was I saying? Yeah, it was just, it was a rough, that table was rough. It was, it was a lot to handle, but I'm no spring chicken when it comes to comedy. So took the challenge head on and succeeded. No, like I mean, because I recorded that set and I watched it over that night. I think I watched it another time, just to kind of prepare myself for the competition in what, like 9 days time at this age. Yeah, it'll be on the 9 days time. So yeah, so that was the fun in Columbia Comedy Club in Mullingar. I don't think there's anything. It was actually, yeah, there was people from a band there that were watching the comedy show. Um, Shout out to the guy about the podcast sticker. And I'm just trying to think about anything else. Like I said, this will be out. Well, this is out whenever. So I'm also recording this way in advance, so when you see this, um, like this will be another scheduled video. So I'd be recording this basically the day after the Columbia Mullingar gig, which is like I'm recording this on the 20th. This won't be out till I'd say probably most likely February. Yeah, it'll probably be the week of the 29th, basically the week of whenever you're seeing this. But so yeah, interesting gig. It was I'm glad I managed to win the crowd over because, like I said, they were being unruly and somewhat rude to some of the other comics. So I enjoyed that experience. It was interesting. I would 100% do it again. Navigating the difficult crowd is interesting. And I kind of went back and talked a lot about, because it was because it's fairly good. Like, there's been like a fairly icy spell in Ireland recently, and temperatures were like -5, -6. One night was like -10, but like they're not mad numbers, but like being from Siberia, it's these are very warm temperatures because it's -65, -60, stuff like that. So I mentioned that, and also the heating where we're performing because it's in the smoking area broke, so everyone was had their coats on, they were cold. So it was an icy, cold day, but a fired up audience. And people. And one of the guys, my new joke is about basically about it's a setup that leads into it's a joke, but then at the end, I always find when I write jokes that over time I will be adding more bits to it. Well, that's how joke structuring works anyway. But over time, sometimes I get like little tags and keep adding to stuff, and it's nice to see something grow and blossom and whatnot. So this joke that I have, which leads into like it just naturally leads into a good segue progression to a different joke that I can tie with other stuff that I'd written before from like a couple of years back. So it's just interesting. But one of the audience members who was in the band, he was like, "Oh, I really like the," because it was about history and stuff. Like a lot of my set is kind of history heavy because I'm a big history nerd. And he was like, "Oh, not many comedians doing the history thing." It's like, yeah, not many comedians tell stories either anymore. It's all like one hit lines. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Each their own style and whatnot. But I don't think that'll ever be me. I just like telling stories with humor. Sometimes it's just real life. It's not funny, you know. Um, but sometimes it is funny. But yeah. So I'm gonna end the episode there. I think that pretty much sums it up. Like I said, I record this ahead of time. This is before I did Show Me the Funny. There's a big, most likely coming out the week of when I do the gig, and the week after that, or review it, so it'll be in February when you hear about it. Um, Anything else? I don't think, no. Please, Liquid Death, sponsor me. You're a cool company. Um, no, I think that's it, really. But yeah, thanks for watching the episode, and as per usual, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, thanks for all the support over the 3 years at this stage. And I shall see you in the next episode. Bye bye.